Absolutely. I mean, the more rich the media environment gets, I think the more important that radio's place is. I suppose the main difference nowadays is everyone has less time and more choice. So actually what you've got to do is make sure that you are a medium that stands out and that people can find time to spend with. So the beauty of radio is I think it's probably one of the only mediums that you can consume whilst doing something else. So the very power of radio is the fact that it's a secondary medium, so most people are engaged in another activity whilst they're doing something else. And that in turn means that ad avoidance is very low, because where you might, for example, traditionally with television, you might fast forward the ads if you're on demand watching now, or might go and make a cup of tea, as people used to do. With radio, you're doing something else, so you don't stop to avoid the adverts, and so you've obviously got less ad avoidance and less clutter because you're not surrounded by other ads as well. And if you count to 30 seconds quite slowly, that's the average amount of time you have to hold that listener's attention. It's actually quite a long time. If you were to sit in silence for 30 seconds, you do actually take a lot of their attention, and as I said, it goes in a very subconscious way. It's for all sizes of brands. I mean, we touched upon just now that the way that we can actually target certain areas, target certain audiences. So there's lots of ways you can use radio, and the beauty of radio is it doesn't really have any sort of there's no snobbery in radio. People from all different social demographics will listen to radio. It's not a matter of I only read this newspaper because I'm within this unique sort of reader profile. Actually, it spans lots of different markets and lots of different ideals. With the brands, obviously a lot of brands have become household names, and they are doing great creative across the UK. The beauty of it is you can become a household name just in Kent, and really it doesn't really matter to any of the listeners in Kent whether you're a household name outside of that. So we can make you as big as you want to be, or as small and as local as you want to appear. But if you imagine, I think it's very easy to see the difference between a local advert on television sometimes versus a national one. With radio, I think, have a listen to that, and they would all be of a similar quality because it's easy to do that. So the biggest benefit, I suppose, that a small business might have versus a national business is we work with creative. When you work with radio creative, you're working with people's imaginations. So actually all the work is done in your head, which means your creative is very cheap. We don't have to go on location to Africa. We just have a few sound effects, for example. It's been very positive, actually. I think what we have to overcome is the fact that we're called radio, so global radio, but actually we do a lot more. So from our point of view, when you're advertising, the more mediums you use, the better it works. But the difference is making sure that the message that you use runs across all mediums. We do like to work with a client to say, let us help you come up with a concept, because if we help you come up with a concept which is going to be the underpinning of all your advertising, if we can make that work on radio, we can be sure it's going to work on every other medium, because radio is the hardest one to make work. What can sometimes happen is somebody comes to us with a concept that they've already used in print, and they either try and make that radio themselves, or they ask us to do it, and it's much more difficult that way round. So let us in at the early stages, and it's not a service we charge for. It's something that we want to be involved, because if we get the idea right and then the creative right, then the advertising will work better, and you will come back to us. So it's relationship building, and it's just a phrase that we use. It's saying use matching luggage, make sure the message is the same across all mediums. So with the advent of apps and mobile usage, then that's given us more opportunities to get messages out there. I think for me, radio is kind of the glue that holds them all together. And in my head, I've got an image of a great chart, actually, which brings it to life. But it's looking at, if you imagine the average day, of an average person, very average, I know, but it's actually what happens in their working day and what media do they engage with throughout the day. So you start off at sort of waking up. There's a picture of a radio there usually, and then you've got breakfast time, so there's probably a picture of a radio, maybe some TV and maybe a newspaper, and then you've got travelling to work or school. It's going to be radio, unless you're a commuter maybe, and then newspaper, and then you've got throughout the day, really television is obviously quite low throughout the day, and that comes into its own in the evenings. So throughout the day, it's radio on at work, possibly lunchtime, maybe newspaper or magazine. Back to radio in the afternoon, going home, picking up kids, whatever. Radio in the car. So actually, if you look at those points where different media kick in, think, right, if I've missed my opportunity with them on one, what is the one that people spend most of their day with? It's radio. So actually, if you're making sure you've got those messages going out, then it kind of glues that whole thing together. Also, like I said, if you've got your matching luggage right, then that will work together. So if you're using the same audio that you're using on television, for example, just a short clip of that on radio, and you replay the television advert in your head. And again, it's using, if you've got a good strong phrase which you're using in print, then use that in radio, and it'll help those all work together and work harder together. But for me, if there's something that connects them all in the cheapest way possible, which is involved in people's lives, that the most prominently, then I'd say it was radio. Of course, I'd say that, but I believe it's radio.